So at the beginning of the movie, we see two dinosaurs, who are a couple. There were 3 eggs in front of them, from which the newborn dinosaurs will soon emerge. Soon after these eggs hatched, and out of them came 3 adorable dinosaurs. 2 of those dinosaurs stood tall and were active. But there was a dinosaur sitting inside the egg. It was short in height and was not coming out. Its parents named it Arlo. Then the 2 dinosaurs take out their babies and show them their house. The couple often farms and they love each other. And now they have children. They have become a loving family. Time was passing and these baby dinosaurs were all grown up now. Other dinosaurs were active than Arlo. They helped their parents. But when Arlo was asked to do something, he couldn't. Afraid of small things. Now the dinosaur couple invites their children to their side. He explains to them that look like winter is coming. We have to store a lot of food. They have built a storeroom in which they store food. After this, Father Dinosaur puts his footprint there. All the children were excited. He says that, Papa, we also want to put our footprints. But Dinosaur's father stopped them. It says, no, you are a child now. Unless you do some great work, you cannot make your own footprints. The day you feel that yes, you have done something in life, you can set your footprints on that day. I will wait for that day too. That when my children will be like me. Then the father of Dinosaur says that today I will examine you. And if you did that, I would do well so that you can set your footprints today. Everyone gets excited, but Arlo was still scary. Arlo's brother picks up huge trees and collects wood. And Arlo's sister cleans the field. Now they have got permission to put footprints. But if we talk about Arlo, it did nothing. It couldn't do anything. So his father did not allow it. Arlo is injured. Just then his brother comes and starts teasing him. That poor little child, you can't do anything. Then Arlo says, don't do this, I feel bad. I tried so hard. But I couldn't. But its brother is still teasing it. Then his family reaches there. He scolded Arlo's brother. Don't bother your brother. Arlo says, you all feel like I cannot do anything. One day I'll do something. And I will also set my footprint here. When Arlo was sleeping at night, his father came to him. Its father says, come with it. And then they start walking. This is a very lovely scene. Arlo's father explains that you can't do anything unless you're scared. I want to take away your fear. Rest assured, it's nothing difficult for you. Then Arlo falls asleep. When they wake up the next morning, Arlo's father sees that someone has taken food from his shop. It means that there came an animal which ate all the food or took all the food with it. They were all worried, but Arlo's father tells him that it is time for my son to test your confidence. What did you understand from me? What have you learned? Your task is to bring that animal. The animal that steals our food. You have to trap it. After that you have to kill it. And if you do, I will leave you your footprints there. Arlo was overjoyed to know this. Arlo's father helps him set up the trap. Then Arlo waits for the animal. They put corn in the place where they set the trap. Then suddenly a wild child comes and starts picking those corns. This means that the thief was not an animal, he is a wild child. Now Arlo hastily threw his net at him. The child was trapped in the net. But he cries a lot. In his own language he was pleading to release me. Arlo is horrified when he sees and hears her, and he wonders what a strange creature he is. It gets confused and lifts the net. The wild child runs from there. When Arlo's father arrives there, it scolds him, what did you do? You catch him and leave. Your fear has ruined everything. Stop being afraid and come with me. Let me take away your fear. Now Arlo's father was not scolding him without reason. It also wants its child to be a good boy. It so happens that the world will be afraid of it. It is not afraid of the world. Parents scold us for our good. Arlo's father takes him to the forest with him. And it starts raining. The weather was rainy. Arlo gets scared. It tells its father that the father lets back. The weather is not good. His father says to him, shut up and go with me. There was a terrible thunder in the sky. Arlo's heart was beating fast. Because he was not brave. Now because of the rain they were sliding on the stones again and again. While walking, Arlo's leg twists and he falls down. It tells its father, just stop, please. His father tells him that I also feel bad that I take my son here. But keep in mind that if I do not remove your fear, what will you do when you grow up? Okay, that's enough for now, let's go back. But then it starts raining heavily. There was a strong wind which meant a storm had arrived. The flood comes with stones. Everything was flowing with him. Arlo's father tells him to walk upside down. It throws its son Arlo upside down with the help of its mouth and story, so that it does not get washed away in the flood, but in itself it remains on the downside. The flood takes him away. Here the screen goes blank for some time, because it was an emotional scene. Arlo had lost his father. Arlo comes back to his house from there. It also starts working with its siblings. He was sad. While he was working he sees the same wild child. That thing clicks in his mind. that his father tells him to capture and kill him, starts running towards him. Arlo catches him, but then he falls into the stream, and flowing from there comes to a faraway place. Now he was unconscious. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself alone. It was sad. But then he sees the wild child. It starts chasing him and backfires. But then he sees that stream, who's walking towards her home. And then he remembers what his father had said. So don't be afraid when you look at the stream, because you will find your way home. Starts walking with that stream. But I was hungry. It sees a fruit. It was high on a tree. Keeping his feet on a stone, Arlo starts eating the fruit. But then that stone slips, and Arlo falls under that stone. Now Arlo's foot was stuck in those stones. It takes a lot of effort to free itself, but it could not release on its own. Day passed, night also became visible, and Arlo falls asleep, but when he wakes up in the morning he sees that his leg was empty. Somebody has dug a place there, and all around it were little footprints. She thinks that these are the footprints of that wild child, and he frees Arlo. Arlo courageously stands up. He starts building the house, i.e., shelter in which he will live while collecting the wood. Then the wild child comes there again. He brings a lizard to Arlo, because I was hungry. But Arlo asks him to stay away from that lizard. This scares Arlo as well, because she was a wild lizard. Then after that the child comes with a very big worm. He separates his head from his mouth and gestures him to eat. But even Arlo doesn't eat it, because it was herbivorous and eats plants, fruits and trees. Then the child understands what he wants to eat. He brings forth the fruit that Arlo saw. Now because Arlo was hungry, he quickly eats. That child understands what he wants. He took it with him to a place where there was a fruit tree. There were many such berries on that tree. Arlo's mouth starts watering. It immediately moves towards him. But that kid stops. At first we didn't understand why he stopped, but when Arlo goes near that tree, a huge snake emerges from there. It was about to attack Arlo, but that wild child attacks that snake. There was a fight between them, and at least the snake got scared and ran away. Now they were going to a place. Meanwhile, a giant animal emerges from some woods and bushes. There were some birds on his horns. It asks Arlo, "Who's that kid with you?" Because they were animals, they could talk to each other. Arlo says, "I don't know his name." This asks Arlo to take his name. Arlo then says to Spot so that the wild child can look back. Maybe he likes this name. Arlo becomes a friend of Spot. They start walking together. Actually, Arlo was going to his house, but he could not understand the way. Then they passed a place where there was tall grass. Arlo wags his tail in the grass. How many fireflies come out of that grass? At first they become happy. That's when Arlo remembers that his father also did this to make Arlo happy. Gets sad again. Arlo sits down in despair. Arlo makes 5 small pieces of wood stand on the soil, and then put the big wood in the mud. This means that Arlo was telling Spot about his family. That we were 5 years old, but my father died. When it doesn't get any response from the Spot, it becomes depressed again, what I am saying. But then Spot also stands up and puts 3 blocks of wood in the soil. He puts 2 big pieces of wood in the soil, and he gets sad seeing a small piece of wood. Because it was that little piece of wood. He wants to say that his parents were killed and he is alone in this world. They hug each other and sit sadly. The next day, they proceed to their next path. But then comes the storm. It starts raining heavily. It was the same flood in which his father died. He gets scared and starts running from there. It hides under a tree. But when he wakes up, he sees that he is far away from the stream. It was not seeing the stream anywhere, so that he can search his house. Gets sad, and starts moving forward. Then he sees strange birds. They look like clever birds. Arlo asks them, "Can you tell me where is the stream? I want to go home." Those birds say, "How will we know? We have nothing to do with this. Birds that die due to storms or floods, we go out to eat them." They ask the strange bird Arlo a question. "Have you seen that wild child? So tell." Now Arlo was afraid of them, because those birds have eaten a small animal like a fox in front of Arlo. Terrified, Arlo tells them where Spot is, but when he sees that those birds are following him, so Arlo starts running with Spot on his back. Then big dinosaurs come in front of them. He was much older than Arlo's parents, so Arlo gets scared and starts running to the other side. But then there comes a huge dinosaur who was the father of those dinosaurs. It calls back Arlo and says, "Don't be afraid, we are vegetarian too." Arlo then asks him, "Can you tell me where is the stream? I want to go home." It says, "Okay, I will let you know. But one thing happened to me. Somebody stole my cows. First of all, you both helped me locate my cows. Now they are looking for all the cows. They find cows. Now that giant dinosaur says that this is where Mount Cow stands. Among them are thieves." It says to Arlo, "Do you see a stone there? Go out there and shout." so that the thieves of my cows come out. It was scared, but he had to find his home, so had to go there. As he stands in the stone and starts screaming, his voice was so low. It doesn't look like a dinosaur. Then Spot cuts his leg, and now Arlo's true voice comes out. It screams loudly. On hearing its sound, the thieves of the cows come out. They were weak dinosaurs like creepy birds. Giant dinosaurs also come from there as soon as they come out, and start attacking them. They fight a lot. In the end, those weak and fearsome dinosaurs run away from there. Giant dinosaurs leave with their cows. He was accompanied by Arlo and Spot. Then in the night they were sitting near the fire and talking among themselves. The giant dinosaur was telling them that I have a lot of power, and start telling the story of its power, whether I did this work or that work. Arlo says my father was also powerful like you, and you know what it didn't scare. That giant dinosaur says that no son, it cannot happen, that no one should be afraid. Everyone fears that it is in nature, but the real thing is to overcome it. Go with your fear, but don't let it overwhelm you. When you learn how to face things, you will automatically become stronger. Don't think that we will leave for your house in the morning. Now Arlo becomes happy. Then as promised, all those giant dinosaur cows also go to drop Arlo to his house. On the way, they reach the top that their heads were in the clouds, looking at the mountains in front. Along those mountains was a stream. This meant Arlo's house was near. He spots the giant dinosaur and tells Arlo that kids, I have brought you here. We have to go back. Now reach your home safely. Arlo gets happy and jumps and walks towards that side. Arlo and Spot start talking loudly because they were happy. But then we see that a wild man was also speaking like him. Spot was staring at the man. As Spot moves towards him, Arlo grabs him. It makes him sit on his back and move on. Reaches those stones. But those creepy birds come there again. They catch him and take Spot with them. Arlo tries to free her, but it falls. Now Arlo was trapped in the wild trees. Was badly trapped. Arlo gets sad. But then his father comes in front of him. Arlo immediately frees himself from the web of those trees. She starts following her father. Looking at his father, he says that, Father, you have come back. You were here. But Arlo saw that his footprints were on the wet soil, but his father's footprints were not. That means it was just his imagination. But its father says in its spec that you have to find the spot. Arlo wanted to discover the spot himself, because it was missing him. Arlo moves on and starts screaming. Only then he sees that those creepy birds are trying to attack him by putting a spot in a wood, but the spot was hidden in that wood. For the first time, someone becomes Arlo's friend. Seeing her in this condition, he becomes aggressive, and here for the first time, we see Arlo mature and aggressive. Arlo screams loudly, but then comes the flood. Everything was flowing with him. Arlo doesn't care, and he jumps into the stream. It has saved the spot. This somehow takes the spot out of the stream, but his body was badly injured. That means he was badly injured. They move on from there. Spot was sitting on Arlo's back. Then he sees the wild man again. This time Arlo lets her go to the man. Then Spot immediately comes down with his tail and runs towards the wild man. He sees that he is my father. His mother and siblings were also with him. Spot's father loves her, takes her in his lap. And when Arlo sees this emotional scene, he also remembers his family, and gets sad. Then Spot immediately comes to him and sits on it. That means he still wants to find Arlo's family with it. He wants to go with it. Arlo tells her to go to his family, keeping her away from his mouth. This is your place. You deserve love and care. They say goodbye to each other sadly, unwillingly. Now Arlo moves on to his family. Arlo keeps walking and finally finds his house in front of him. She starts crying. Its mother and siblings also come from the front. They meet each other, but they were also missing the leader of their family, Arlo's father. Arlo's mother says, you did a great job. Now is the day when you will fulfill your father's dream. It said when you do great things you can set your own footprint on that day. Come and set your fingerprint. Arlo gets happy that it fulfilled his father's dream. He becomes what the father wants. Its father was not with it, but it will always be strong and will always remember his father. Along with this, it also establishes its footprint from the footsteps of its father. With this, the story of the film ends here. I hope you liked this film. If you are the first time in this channel, then subscribe the channel.